Hello, everybody, and welcome to this LLG Random but Real Wednesday Word on Word Wednesday with One Singing Lady. I am Lisa Gilliam, your host, and I'm excited to have my bro here, Kristopher Dunlap. He's probably going to get me, but I call him Dunny. Um, y'all know how we start off. First of all, I definitely want to welcome everybody for being here. And you see this thing, he's right like, what did I get myself into? But I promise it's not going to be mushy. He's my older brother, that is. And I tease him because my biological brother always teases me and calls me his way older. And so I also tease Chris and say he's my way older. We actually met at Virginia University, and he was a judge in the freshman talent show. I don't know if you remember that, Chris, but and so he came up to me afterwards and just gave me
Yes,
a
I do.
compliment. And you do? It was a long time ago. I'm not gonna say how long, but it was a long time ago. And so we connected from that point on, and we stayed in touch. And well, I do have to say this: it's definitely been, whew, dang, that's a lot of years ago. I got to Union in '91. So it's a long time ago, and we have remained friends. A lot of people don't know how close we are. It's not like we would hang out on the campus or anything like that. But I will tell you all, this dude right here, my brother from another mother, has had my back in more ways than one over my lifetime. I don't care if I was sick. I remember he brought me some oranges. He was like, "You need anything?" Like, just car accidents. He's been there for that. You know what I mean? Financial stuff, like when I was in school. And one of the biggest things I'm so thankful for, if y'all were wondering a few years ago why he wasn't at homecoming at his high school, is because he was one of the pallbearers for my mom's funeral. And my brother and I really appreciate that. He had a relationship with my mom too. He knew her, and so, that's what fam does. And he's always, even came to the hospital to visit her. And we didn't allow a lot of people to do that, but Chris is family. So welcome, Chris Dunlap. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you very much. Thank you very much. And
And
don't say anything bad about me because you forget that I have secrets on you as well. So let's
he
let's
has a
keep this
lot of
nice.
secrets, and I will not. I will not say anything bad. I need you to keep that in the vault, okay? I do want to start out
Exactly,
just saying
exactly.
that the comments of the host are our own comments, and so you all that have been watching it, from the beginning, know that this is a mental health platform. But as Danya always says, who's a part of Stigma Breakers, that's the first Wednesday of the month. We deal with specifically mental health issues that trying to break the stigma. She's like, mental health affects every aspect of our life, and it does. It absolutely does. And so today we are actually talking about the impacts of insurance and not having insurance, or the reason for having insurance. A lot of people, I think, don't understand how important it is. And there's so many different, you know, aspects to insurance, if we want to put it that way. Life insurance, event insurance, health insurance, car insurance, like they're all different aspects. And initially, I'm gonna be honest, I actually wanted my brother, who also does like title insurance and life insurance, I wanted both of them to kind of be on here together so we could get it from all aspects. Maybe we'll be able to do that in the future. Because as I was telling you the other day, one of the blessings for me, um, when my mom died, was that she had all her ducks in order. So she had insurance, health insurance. She had her life insurance. She had a living will. She had a power of attorney, a DBA on the banks, which I didn't know anything about. Like you should have someone on your bank accounts so that doing business as, if that person is not able to, speak up or whatever on their behalf. And I found that so many people end up having money in the bank, and then they have to pay for probate because there's no one else to be able to take that stuff out. And you might need it just for something simple. Let me tell y'all, being in the hospital, my mom was only there for 2 weeks, was expensive. And I praise God that myself nor my sibling had to stress about how we were going to take care of that bill, on top of just dealing with the impacts of just what was happening with her in general. So, what? Let's see. Where do we want to start? What would you say
Mm.
regarding insurance? Like, what is the reason for having insurance?
Where shall I start? Um, the first thing I'd say is I've been in the insurance industry for, and I know you didn't ask this question, but I'm gonna jump ahead. We started in the insurance business 26 years ago. Randomly, it was kind of a processing customer service type job,
Hmm.
and I took a liking to it because I started processing claims, and the amount of those claims I was processing just didn't make sense to me because it was thousands and thousands of dollars, and I saw people really suffering because they were their copays, deductibles, and I'll get into the definitions, all that stuff, ended up being a large cost share, and people didn't understand those benefits. So my job was to explain those benefits to them. Unfortunately, it was in the Stone Ages, so I was sitting back looking at like a World Book encyclopedia, going through the pages and finding where those things are, where opposed to now, people that are in the service industry punch it in and it's over. But
Hmm.
I played it cool. I really, that's where I probably learned how to be in sales because I'd say, okay, give me 30 seconds. Let me research that. I go through 50 books behind me and then come out with an answer and kind of pick it up that way. So to me, insurance to pure definition is just a risk business. They take a pool of people and figure out a premium to give you an end result. The premium is the part that you pay. That's the fixed cost. Insurance business, the fixed cost and the non-fixed cost. Your fixed cost is your premium that you pay every month, and then your non-fixed cost is your copays, deductibles, whatever your cost share is, because you don't go to the doctor all the time. But so that's a non-fixed cost. So to answer your question, that's my pure definition of it.
Okay. All right. And why is it important though? Why do I need
Oh,
insurance?
you need insurance, number one, because let's say, I think it's up to 80% of the bankruptcies that are in America are caused by insurance bills. May it be health insurance bills, may it be the lack of a living will, life insurance, things like that. So it's your extra protection. It's a
Mm-hmm.
requirement, as you know, through healthcare reform and things like that. It's become a more significant requirement that they're trying to break down, but it's something that, unfortunately, since we're speaking frankly, it's the way that the rich get richer because once they charge you those interest rates and things like that, it really goes beyond leaps and bounds of what your exposure would be. So, to
Hmm.
me, the important part of it is minimizing your exposure, knowing what you're going to pay every month and being a part of that. So,
Why does it have to be so expensive though, Chris? Why?
in a non-group setting, it is expensive because it's an age-based benefit. But the key to that is making sure that you understand what your exposure would be. Your exposure could be, I think you're 60 now, 65-year-old person like you, getting insurance off the street, right? would
Y'all
be
heard that joke,
would be
right?
higher than a 25 would be excuse me would be higher than a 25-year-old because your possibility of using the insurance is more likely at a certain age versus one age. Um, but as a person, as an individual, you have to monitor what your needs are. You don't need a Cadillac of all plans every time because that might not be the needs for yourself and your family. So you really have to take time. I would always say that people that are insured on the health insurance side are overinsured because they end up picking the
Yep.
PPO and what they think is the best plan, but they may not need it. That's like
Right.
driving a fast car in downtown DC with 1,000 speed lights. Why would you do that? Because it's unnecessary. All it does is cause a bunch of problems. You find something that's moderate, that fits the needs of you and your family, and you can carry forward with it.
And
Totally different animal with
speaking
life
of,
insurance. We'll get into that in a moment.
well, family is thank you, Lorna. She said I look good for 65. I agree. And remember, he's older than I am, so but and I'm not 65 for those who don't know. I will be 48 in a month though, and I'm not ashamed about that at all. I digress. Um, I'm one of those people who doesn't have a family yet. Who knows what God has in store? But I talk to a lot of people who do, and there are some plans that are even group plans that are amazing and very helpful, and not as expensive as you would, think it would be for a family. And then you have some that like literally cost you almost a house note or a car note, right? And so, what would you say to those people who are, you know, just contemplating like, should I keep such and such on my insurance? I mean, he only got one more year in college, my son, my daughter, or should I just go ahead and, make them get their own now because they're grown technically because they're over 20, you know? What would you say to those people?
Well, you asking a combination of questions in typical Lisa fashion. That's why I love you.
Absolutely. You
Um,
can pick and choose.
so the 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 thing about a college age person is that keep them on that insurance as long as possible. They cover to age 26, no questions asked. There may be a case where it may be a little more premium from a group standpoint. If you belong to a group, the company pays a certain portion, you pay a certain portion. So that's pretty easy. You're helping them out and getting them more indoctrinated with utilizing the benefits that are unavailable to them. That's one. Um, as a person picking the right plan, that part is not that difficult if you look at just flat consumerism. You shop around for auto insurance, you shop around for the best sweater, that pretty sweater you have on. I'm sure you shopped around for that. You have to do the same thing with auto insurance. And I'm sorry, you have to do the same thing with health insurance because walking into that, you have to see, okay, in the last 24 months, I've used these types of benefits. Why don't I find a plan that gives me the maximum benefit at the lowest cost? Take your time and do that. The unexpected stuff is emergency room, urgent care center. That's to be expected. But if you have a kid that plays sports, okay, I want to tell our plan that has a little less out of pocket costs with emergencies, which would make sense for me. But the rest of it, I can handle. I can use savings or what have you in order to have that done. Same thing with auto insurance. I'm giving the auto insurance example. Higher
Mhm.
deductible, lower premium. Same thing with health insurance. Higher deductible, in most cases, lower premium. So you have to work out and do your homework.
That's true. That's true. But you definitely want to make sure that you can afford, what I'm saying, that either deductible or the premium, depending on the situation. Like, I'm the type of person, let's talk about the car insurance. I'm not gonna have the 1,000. And I haven't had an accident, God bless, praise God, in years, like decades, years. And I'm not trying to have one, but I still know that coming up with $1,000 if I did have one would be really, really strenuous on me. You know what I mean? And so I agree with you that you have to do what's best for you. I also agree that, like I said, again, the correlation, this is a mental health platform, that your decisions actually do or can affect your mental health. You know what I mean? Like if you're
Correct.
stressed out because you can't afford to pay that deductible or the premium every month, then you probably didn't make the right decision. Unfortunately, when you're in a group plan, you usually have to wait to open enrollment season in order to,
Well, well,
re-enroll or to
well there,
change it.
yeah, there are caveats to a group plan, but most of the time it's a thing called a qualifying event. Um,
Hmm.
Birth of a child, divorce, things like that are quote unquote qualifying events that allows you to go to one plan to another. And depending on the size of the group, you may only have one option. And that option may
Right.
be one carrier, good, better, best scenario. Personally, I try to set my groups up with at least two to three plans because you never know what stage in life your actual employees are. So you have to make that choice within making sure that they have adequate access to care and then affordable access to
Absolutely.
care.
So, you're so wise in your old young age. And exactly. Um, so when did you, was it when you started that job, which is like customer service slash sales, that you started to be so in tune with this? Like a lot of young males, I don't see them actually, one caring. And let's say like 20-year-old, right? That's starting their first job that's not on their parents' insurance. It's like they just like, nothing's happened to me so far. I'm good. Right? What would you say to that person that
And
might see
yeah,
this or watch this to encourage them to go ahead and to have some type of insurance?
every 25-year-old man or 20-year-old man is bulletproof. We all think we start out that way and we just want to take whatever, take the cash and carry. Um, Fortunately, for the first portion of my career, I belonged to a company that paid for it in full. So it wasn't even a thought with me. People don't work in insurance, so they don't have that luxury. What do I say to that person is to find a plan that's adequate and affordable. But again, you don't know if that 20-year-old person needs allergy injections every week. You don't know if that person needs a high end medication, things like that. So you still have to take that step and separate yourself from when you're with your parents' insurance. You have to make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into. Taking a small plan that has a tremendous copay will cause a person to go without medical treatment. That starts chronic illnesses. That starts the cycle of things that our people do. Sorry, reaching to my black bag already. But we have to have that level of understanding so we can continue to educate each other. I mean, I offer consultations to friends of mine that call me, and of course, they offer me liquor, but I offer free consultation to my friends to do stuff. And it ends up being a back and forth dialogue so they understand the different components because it's not rocket science. It's just understanding where you are in your phase of your life, doing your homework, and making the right choice for you and your family.
Right. Because, Chris isn't, super bright, y'all. He just, like you said, it's not rocket science. I'm just
I play
kidding.
one on I play one on TV.
This is our banter, just in case you're wondering. Like, this is how we are, literally like a brother sister relationship. So I hope y'all can determine the jokes from the real information. If you can't, just hit me up and I will let you know. Um, no, he really is smart
I'll
though.
get it
It's
back.
funny though.
I'll get it back, ladies and gentlemen.
He already got me back. I remember I'm 65. But like Chris is one of those unassuming smart people. And I mean that in the nicest way. Because just, just because of our history, we know a lot about each other. Good evening, Dr. J. Good evening, Dr. Braxley, and anybody else who is watching. Um, so he has so much knowledge. First of all, you got to get him to, slow down to find the time to talk to him. That's the first thing. But once you do, he really can pour into you with so many different things. You know what I mean? And so, I want to say that everybody should have a friend like that. That's a part of the mental health piece as well. But now that we've been in COVID specifically, have you seen just whether it's people that you've had talked to or other people have talked to, the rise, because mental health it costs a lot. I mean, insurance, like the payments,
Agreed.
and once you decide to go, I mean, out of pocket, I should say. um I my story, and I still see a therapist, and I pay literally $10 every time, which I'm very thankful for my little $10. And at one point I was paying free. I was one of those people who didn't have insurance and ended up having all of these different health issues because I couldn't afford to purchase it. Which is why it's beyond me the people, when the Affordable Care Act started, why you wouldn't do it, even if for me it was like a necessary evil, if I could say that, a positive necessary evil, because I didn't really have the hundreds of dollars. It was more because I was paying out of pocket. But I also did get to write some of that off on my taxes. So it did offset, like the information is there, um, Medicaid, if you have to get it just so that you're covered. So back to my original question, have you seen a rise in, you know, maybe people wanting to get insurance now because of having the need of having to get, mental health counseling or therapy or
Well, I haven't seen a rise in. I've seen a rise in utilization of a benefit that I really concentrated on and I sold to my groups for a long time. It's called Employee Assistance Program, or EAP. EAP is a most of the time offered as a complimentary service along with a group plan. And
Mhm.
it's a confidential service that you have unlimited access to. Most of them have 3 to 4 or 5 face-to-face visits, but it does have unlimited access to telephonic counseling. And it's something that a lot of groups did not take advantage of, but I've seen a rise in that during COVID because they say, okay, I can't see a person. It's like rising in Teledoc, one of the online doctor services. But I've seen the rise in that, and that's been great because I do think that let's face it, the toughest part about this pandemic is mental health. Being we're not meant to be alone and by dust, in those situations. So you see a lot of people struggling in the mental health aspect, and we were, obviously going to focus on that a little bit more. But I've seen the rise in the utilization of EAP that has coincidentally led into the rise of face-to-face counsel visits or online counsel visits in a lot of cases. I personally have a bunch of friends that you know as well, Lisa, that are counselors, and they finally, I mean, unfortunately, it took for a pandemic for their business to boom, but they've seen a large rise in their business as well, and I've seen that too. So it's great that people are reaching out, waiting until the end to get counseling. I can't say that enough for all of us. I'm blessed enough to have friends like yourself that when I'm feeling down, we can call out. But some people don't have that luxury, so we do need each other, and we're rising as a community. So
Well, I definitely
bravo to
have
the
some.
mental health community for continuing their great work.
Yes. Bravo to y'all, because I don't really do it anymore. My position has changed, but once you get the knowledge, it's still there. But I have to put a caveat in there. The Ministry and Mental Health Forum that I'm having on May 15th is on Eventbrite. You can go to any of my YouTube, my social media pages to find the information. We're trying to bridge the gap between the community, the church, and mental health. And there is, a lot of African Americans, although even when we have insurance, we still don't go see counselors or therapists or psychologists or psychiatrists like I feel like we should. And we'll go to the church, which is great. But having been a minister, having been a counselor, and having a person that has mental health diagnosis, I know that a lot of the ministers and pastors were not prepared to deal with the stuff I was dealing with, and those that had even far more dire mental health situations. And so I think it's really important that we come together. And when I think about, even insurance, there are psychiatric nurses. Nurses also do, have to know some diagnosis. And so, I hope that y'all will come out, check Eventbrite, because it's important to, like I said, bridge the gap, and it's free. So all you have to do is register. But that was just a caveat anyway, as we continue. So one of the things that we talked about before, is there anything else that you want to talk about as far as the health insurance? Because we're getting ready to move into another topic. We'll probably come back to this, but because a lot of it's related. Did you want to mention anything specifically to people about, the health insurance? Oh no, I
Well,
know. One question. Go on. Go on.
oh no, oh sorry. Um, just hate to drive this home, but understanding your health plan, understanding the differences in networks, access, and things like that. I've seen so many cases where providers duplicate care and it costs you money out of pocket. You get an X-ray, Dr. Jones wants an X-ray. Get a second opinion, Dr. Jenkins wants an X-ray. Get a third opinion, and everybody orders the same X-ray. Guess what? That leg is not breaking within that time. The coordination of care is most important for people to understand to
Yeah.
make sure that you're not spending too much out of pocket in order to get just a routine diagnosis or a treatment plan. What you're doing is getting a second and third diagnosis for a treatment plan, not that leg is breaking in a different place. So please
Mhm.
understand your health insurance. Do not let the doctors tell you everything to do because they have ulterior motive too. They want butts and seats just like anyone else. They're business people. So take your time and understand if you're confused about any portion of that. Don't be afraid to talk to the office manager at the doctor's office. Most times you can talk to your healthcare company, get a nurse case manager that can help you. But please take your time to understand all the components of what you're getting into before you're looking at tremendous out of pocket costs. I have friends of mine that call me with a stack of bills. I don't process claims anymore, but I do know that the dots have to connect in order for you to get your bottom line. Everybody wants to do well, but don't fall for the trap. Please take your time and understand what you're getting into.
Well,
And
since you
all
brought
my high
that up,
horses, please.
what's your best way of doing that though? Like I know you mentioned earlier about not getting I do have our agency is different because it's like three different types of insurance. And sometimes I'm just like, so which one is my copay? But they did that because for one simple thing, it's just my regular copay. And then another one is a specialist. Another part of the plan is a specialist place. So whatever it is that they did, it actually was for our benefit. Um, like I don't pay the specialist fee for counseling, which I'm thankful for. That's an extra $20. And for me who goes often, that starts to add up. But it's because of the plan. So which one would you say I also say you're your best advocate. And I don't care if that's in mental health, I don't care if it's in education, I don't care if it's insurance. You have to be able to educate yourself and speak up. So I definitely agree with you there. But what is the best way to make sure that you have a great coordination of care? If you don't know, you're just starting out and you're trying to figure out, like, why is this doctor saying I need to see all these different specialists just to get a second opinion, or whatever. What's the best way to go about that?
Well, the first thing is understanding your plan. During healthcare reform, one of the major things that they did is require every insurance company to produce a SBC. That's called a Summary of Benefits and Coverage. Every insurance company has to provide that for you. It's a standardized document. It's 9 pages. Aetna, United, Kaiser, everybody has it. You put those side by side and you're supposed to, and they broke it down to a ninth grade reading level, which I'm probably eighth grade, but they broke it down to a ninth grade reading level to ensure that everyone could completely understand the breakdown of everything that's going on. Once you do that, you can find a plan that fits your needs. You can look at one deductible beside another deductible. If you don't know what a deductible is, in the preface, it'll let you know deductibles, copays, and everything that goes into that. And that's meant to be your education tool document. After that, it's your responsibility. It's consumerism. Because once that rolls into your responsibility, you know how many times you've been to the doctor in the last 24 months. You know what kind of prescriptions you use. I hate to say it, you know if you're in a high risk activity, a high risk sport, mountain climbing or something like that. And you have to figure out, does your lifestyle choice give you the right plan to fit the needs of you and your family? And take your time and do that. If you want to take a second step, you can contact the insurance companies themselves. They have agents that can help you. And then you have an insurance broker. So I deal with my groups and educating their employees in that too. Some groups don't have open enrollment sessions, but you do have to have that in most cases because people just afraid to ask those questions. You want to feel like you don't know what's going on, but you just don't know the right questions to ask. So this is one of those forums that you have to do it and take that step and ask that question.
So when you say that, it kind of makes me think about, I just want to know your take on companies like American Fidelity, Aflac, these supplemental benefit, not really insurance,
That
but
actually it is a great thing because what I do in a lot of cases, say for example, you wanted to put a plan together for yourself and your family. You take a high deductible plan, gives you a lower cost premium, which is your fixed cost, and you got a heck of a delta between that $0 and that $5,000 deductible, for example. What do I do to fill that? You can plug in a company like an Aflac that has a hospital plan that can pay you cash to fill in that deductible. You can look at um, Transamerica, some of those supplemental carriers. But the thing is they do say that they're not insurance. They do. That is absolutely true. But for example, I'll use your case, Lisa. When you were going to visit your mom in the hospital, your mom had insurance, everything was fine. Who the heck was paying for you to park? Who was paying for your gas? Who was paying for all that stuff that took for you to visit your mom and keep things afloat? Those type of
Mhm.
companies provide that supplement and the cash benefit in order to make it happen. So we have to educate ourselves in that and just not throw it away because in a lot of cases it is useful. Okay,
very
so they're
true.
meant to be
Very true.
cash. Take your time, research those too, and I just tell a lot of groups about that. Just don't throw it away. It makes sense.
I agree. I
Okay.
mean, I've had both, and I remember when I had to have foot surgery on both feet, and like because I took all my leave, I got paid from my job and I got paid from Aflac, and I was not mad about it at all. I was like, I wasn't even thinking, and that was one of my first
Now,
real jobs after grad school, and it did help. It definitely helped. You want to say something?
yeah, and a lot of companies don't provide long-term disability or short-term disability insurance, and those things, besides health insurance, besides life insurance, you want to guarantee your income because the moment you get any kind of sprain or break or what have you, who's gonna supplement that income. So you do want to take advantage of those programs. The larger the company, the less out of pocket cost for you is. And a lot of companies that provide it for free. But if you belong to a smaller organization, it might be a little bit more out of pocket, but they are useful because you never know that car accident, that this, that's going to take you away from your work. You want to have something to guarantee your income. So it's very important.
Absolutely. And a lot of them can be as low as 7 days out. And if you have, an injury, that's about the time, that you might be out. So I totally agree. I have short and long term. I'm very thankful I'm finally in a position where I could afford to get all of it because it is expensive. It can be expensive.
Yeah.
So one of the things we talk.
Understanding your elimination. Excuse me, Lisa. So understanding your elimination period because there is a case where some of those things do have waiting periods. So you want to
Mhm.
take your time to understand that too. Don't wait until the last minute. Know what you're signing up for.
Absolutely.
Trying to cram
Absolutely.
26 years of insurance into an hour. I'm sorry. I'll stop. Go ahead.
Hey, this is, it's random but real. We get in what we get in. If we forget it, then there's always another time. Um, so
Okay.
we talked briefly about event insurance. Do you want to talk about your experience in that, and then what you think about, the reason why having event insurance is important?
Because of my part-time job that I've had for the last 15 years, event
Mhm.
insurance is second to none. It does prevent you from that small incident. May it be someone getting into some kind of accident in your event. Maybe in a lot of cases, it's these events are catered. Someone getting sick because of what they something they ate in your event. Someone getting sick because of, they said, alcohol, whatever. But it does put the brick and mortar, which is the facility or wherever you're having the event, and whoever the promotion teams and artists at ease by having that part of the insurance world to be covered too. And a lot of the high end places they require millions and millions of dollars of insurance before your event to make sure that they are covered in that way. So it's a very important part of the entertainment industry. Some of the behind the scenes stuff that you'll see, and even in the basketball arenas and football games, they have that type of 1 day event insurance. It's behind the scenes, but it goes into that little small line item. Believe it or not, you're paying for it in your ticket indirectly to make sure that that is a part of that protection.
Absolutely. I got to throw out
Yeah.
another caveat. A lot of people I know in church don't do it. And technically, if you have events at church, you should make sure that your church is at least the church is covered that already has it. Or if you're
Yeah.
hosting at someone else's, you should have it too. I don't know if a lot of people know the importance of it, but like you said, they could just walk up to the building and stumble and fall and decide to, but this was, and it happens. It's like real life, not even trying to like fake, the situation, but things happen, fights happen, you get hurt or something. They try to do whatever. Event insurance does, depending on what you have in the line items. Even when I was a minister, I'm not preaching and stuff right now, but I know when I first got into ministry, my pastor made sure we had, the professional insurance, just like I needed it as a counselor when I was counseling. Like all of that really does help you. You going you want to say
Well,
something about that?
one more real life example is I was in Las Vegas at one of the All Stars. Had to be 15 years ago or so, and the show was going, everything was fine, everybody was dressed and great, what have you, and a piece of the lighting came loose. A gentleman that was standing beside me, and it had to be 10, 15 feet from me. That thing came down and knocked him out. And
Wow.
stuff happens. So just wanted to give you a real life example. I don't know the end story, but everybody was shook for the rest of the event, obviously, because stuff was falling, what have you. But yeah, so think about that. How random and how out of our hands was that? So it happens. So I cannot tell you if you got a gathering of people, and I mean, Lord knows that's not even talk about when you have children involved and stuff. That's another element that it can come about when you have, sporting event insurance. So yeah, all of that is very important for any type of event. So please do
Yeah,
your
I
homework.
remember when my brother first started getting into that aspect. Um, hey, Mike. Um, that he would tell me about just like different things that I wouldn't ever think about. Um, that was important to have. It was something specific that I was thinking about, but I can't. I have to see if I can remember. But yeah, event insurance is definitely needed. Sport insurance. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. He actually used to insure like professional players' body parts. That was, because if you had, I don't know if
Yeah.
you used to watch, well, you probably didn't watch, but America Ferrara, when she was, what's the name of that TV show? It used to come on ABC. I think she actually insured her smile. I think I read an article about that because she was just known for her smile. Now I don't know what it costs to insure, like your arms, your legs, your hands, whatever. But if you know it's an asset, go ahead and insure that. If
Yeah.
you can
Well,
if you can afford to do it, do it.
and Daryl and I just recently talked about this about an athlete that was in a free agency period. Last
Hmm.
contract terminated, going for the next contract, and he needed something in the middle to ensure, you know, what if he gets hurt during that time. So they have that. We handle that as well. So it's almost everything out here because they're
Absolutely.
actually monitoring, they're figuring out your future value in that particular case. So we do ensure that too.
Wow. And like just never think that you're okay enough that you don't need it. You know what I mean? Like I do have friends
That
who decided to drive in a car without insurance. I think that's super dumb because even if you're the best driver in the world, we're taught in defensive driving class to drive for the other person. You're not just driving for you. I'll just use
correct.
this as an example. I know we were talking about health insurance, but or event insurance. But I remember when I was working with mobile crisis in PG County, and we had to take like all these training classes, and they were online. And so I'm like, how is a defensive driving class, and I'm watching a video online? How is that actually going to prepare me to drive defensively out in the field? And by this time, that was just a few years ago, like 2013 maybe. So I had been driving for some decades at that time. So I remember taking the course. Of course, I passed it. And one day we were driving on 495, and like you're with a partner. So this particular day was my day to drive, and this car just like kind of literally tried to cut me off. And but I had quick instinct. I had seen the things in the video, and I was able to avoid an accident because of what I learned in that video. And so I think the education of information. Now it was not my insurance. I would not have gotten in trouble because it was not my car, but I still don't want to be involved in anything if I can avoid being involved in it. So I think one of the things that you said, or that's super important outside of having these different types of insurance, is just educating yourself about whatever it is. It's not just what's on that piece of paper. What is the fine print? What's that little small print that you don't really want to read? Like people will get mad at me because I'll be like, hold on one second. I read every bit of documentation, but that part comes probably from being an event planner myself and also being an artist. Because I don't want you messing with my money. So I need to see what you're saying, but I learned sometimes the hard way. You know what I mean? And so yeah, just that's a whole different
Yeah.
story. So
Yeah.
one of another things that I wanted to talk about was like life insurance and the importance of that. And like I said, having a
Okay.
POA, having a living will. Why? Why do people need it?
Old story. I always, everything I have is about a story, but no such thing as too much life insurance. Life insurance is not only a death benefit, but it's a living benefit. In case of terminal illness, life insurance is how the rich get richer. Life insurance is a non-taxable way to protect a lot of your assets and your income, pass it on from generation to generation. Especially our people. If I see one more GoFundMe, I'm gonna jump in the river because we really have to plan for our future generations by taking that extra step. Understanding the levels of life insurance, and as soon as a person says life insurance, they get nervous. But understanding the difference between a term policy, it's a period of time. It's just that's it. You know, 10, 20, 30 term. You may have a need, you may have a situation where you have a young child and you want to prepare if in case your spouse should perish, that you want to have the assets to make that happen. Um,
Mhm.
and then you have whole life policies, universal life policies that cover you for your entire life. And then they have tax advantages and they gain interest. Some of the universal life policies that are out here now gain two, three, four times the interest rate of a savings plan. of a 401k and steady a gain of income. So that to me is extremely important. The reason I say it's a living benefit, in some cases you can borrow off of it. And if you're diagnosed with terminal illness, you can pay final expenses. What was that the Gushy movie, that Queen Latifah movie where the lady took a trip at the end of her life? That was a termination. That was a terminal. I'm sorry, that was a universal life policy. That she was able to
Mhm.
take a portion of her funds, take a trip around the world, and enjoy the rest of her life and what have you. So we have
Right.
to understand and not being intimidated by that, and not think that your insurance needs are all covered by your employer. Your employer is going to insure the heck out of your butt until you're 65 or 70, and then when you're no longer useful for them, they go.
Right.
So you want to find the most insurance you can afford at the youngest age. I can't say it's best. You have to lock into those rates as young as you are and be able to stick with it. I'm not preaching to you, Lisa. I'm talking to the world because I know if you think I'm talking to you again, but we have to
No,
do it and take our time to do it.
I
Um,
don't feel that
and
way
then
at all. Let me let me
and
just
then
say
and
real
then
quick
for
though. Go go on. No, go on.
um, along with that, along with that is understanding the benefits of as well as life insurance. What I've seen the biggest rise in now has been long-term care. Long-term care and long-term disability are two different things. Long-term disability is when you're working, you twist your ankle, you fall down, you get paid till you get back on the job. Long-term care is something that you need for your elders. I mean, I'm blessed enough to have the resources to care for my mom. Some people don't have that. They may be a ditch digger or whatever, and they don't have that flexibility to get away from a 9 to 5 and do that. How would a person do that? And let's face it, people are living longer. Back on the soapbox again. People are living longer, and that's a great thing. But they run out of money before they run out of life. And long-term care insurance provides sometimes home health care, sometimes facility care, but it's a cash benefit that you can use to continue your life at the same level and not deplete all of your assets. So when you in a job setting, you see any listing for any long-term care, people in the world, please, please, please grab it because it's something that you will probably use. Lord willing, if you live
Right.
that long. But some people need long-term care at 60. Some of them need it at 80, whatever. But it's still a benefit that you can utilize that again gains a lot of cash value, and you have to learn how to utilize it. So sorry,
That's
back to
one
your
of the
question,
things.
Lisa.
No, no, that's one of the things that I am. That's the next thing that I need to do. I will share my own testimony. My grandmother, who you knew also is now deceased, um, she had insurance for all of us when we were younger. Myself not understanding that information, when we went through a real period of financial distress, um, and just not being educated, I didn't know that was something I should try to keep up. I don't even know if I was working. This was shortly after college because she died in '95. I graduated in '95, so um, I think it was the next year. Like you said, money had to be borrowed against, but I wasn't necessarily told about it. But then, if you don't pay it back, then, things go into default. And so basically, lost my insurance. It was a great plan. I had it since I was younger. And it wasn't until my mom's death, finding papers, about what I used to have, that just infuriated me because I ended up growing up struggling most of my life, as you know, financially, in and out of jobs. And that's with master's degree, with doctoral classes, still just struggling. And so I've had a rough life. I may not look like it, but I've really gone through some things in my life. And in the process of that, ended up having diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Still do actually. Although now I'm working out every day and I'm, trying to reverse some of the things, the damages that happened. I remember when I couldn't afford, like I said, to go to the doctor and, couldn't afford $4 medication. Didn't even have $2.50 to last me 2 weeks. It was rough. I never looked like what I was going through. That was God's grace. However, I was definitely going through. And as you know, people such as yourself would help, you know what I mean, whenever asked, or even if I didn't ask. But I say all that to say, because of diabetes, I was not allowed or able to purchase the insurance individually because my numbers were not controlled. and that, caused problems. But it took, for those who don't know me, my dad is deceased, my mom is deceased, my grandparents are deceased. My brother and I are the only ones in my nuclear family. And I have an aunt that's living too. But to not have anybody and to see the different situations, um, those who did have and those who didn't have, it really does affect you. It can affect, like I said, your mental health. I did want to put out there, please, y'all, don't wait until you die to let your children make the decision of, or you're on life support to make the decision of, who's supposed to do. Do you want to continue to live? Do you not want to continue to live? Just man up or woman up and go ahead and create your will now and make sure that stuff is straight. I just have to throw that out there because it does really release a lot of the stress that um, you can, put on the individual. Remember, I said it's a mental health platform first and foremost. But I also wanted to say that because of having diabetes, I was not able to purchase insurance. And so finally, when I started getting a job, it's easier to get term life than it is to get whole life in the type of health situation that I was having. The same thing for smokers, it's more expensive. There are different, like, things you have to educate yourself, but get something. If you can't afford to get the whole life, then get term life until I had AAA. And so I was able to get term life, through them until I could afford to get another policy. If you belong to a credit union, sometimes that's still a group. So they'll give you, insurance or discounts. You probably didn't think I knew all this, Chris, but I told you I was smart. But anyway, they will give you, policies or give you the opportunity to get policies. It might only be a couple of thousand if, accidental insurance. If it's free, I don't care. It's a free 2,000. Take it. Like, why not? All you gotta do is say yes. It's no, ifs, ands, or buts about it. So if you have, a credit union, look into the policies. And so I went to that, and then I went back to American Fidelity and Aflac, or who they had in my job. And I couldn't get the Aflac life insurance, but I was able to get American Fidelity. I can't afford a lot. It's I just don't make enough to do it, but I have enough to bury myself. I don't have any children. I don't have a home. You know, the car can go back to the dealership. Like, you have to look at all of that stuff. But I do implore anybody watching now, if you have a child and you don't have life insurance, literally, kind of sort of shame on you. And I'm not saying it to like guilt you, but just to know the struggle, because I've been on the other side of losing the parent and losing, the people that in your life that help, raise you. And if you don't have it in order, and if you have gone through it and you still don't have it, that's still pretty bad, because you probably remember what it felt like to have to wonder how you were going to take care of the day to day. Like you said, when I had to rush to the hospital, thank God, like God worked it out. And I didn't have insurance on that job then. My, or did I? I might have had it, but my job definitely looked out for me, when it came to that. And I had a principal that was like, hey, if you need to go, go. But we got paid by the hour. So if I didn't go to work, that meant I didn't get paid. And so all of that stuff factors in. And that's why life insurance is so important to have. Get your affairs in order while you're living and breathing. You think you have tomorrow, but when I tell you that morning, I said, good morning, love you, mom, bye. And that evening, she could no longer speak again. It happened just like that, not even 24 hours. So I know some of you all who watch, don't understand why I'm always talking about these situations, but everything I've ever gone through in my life, it really is to help other people. I don't want you to have to go through the things that I've had to go through. And so now things are in order, but it took my mom's death for me to finally do a will, because I was like, I don't have anything, but I do have some things. On top of that, I am a recording artist. So nope, I'm not Prince, but I actually make money off of singing and stuff. So now that will go to my family. There's not going to just be in records, you know what I'm saying, where anybody can take it and it's public domain. No, if they want it, or my niece and nephew, because I don't have any children, they'll be able to keep that up. And that's money. Every time I sell a product, it'll go to them. So you have a legacy to leave. If it's children, that's fine. If you wanted to go to a family member that's always had your back, fine. If you want to give, I don't care. Just, my godmother was in her 90s when she died, and I didn't know that she cared, enough to leave me, or not to care. I knew she loved me, but I didn't think that she would have, I wasn't looking for anything. And so it was a couple of thousand. But when I tell y'all it came on time, because that year, my job that I had, I wasn't able to get unemployment. I had no money. And so that's how I was able to pay my bills, because she had left that for me. So you just never know what leaving a small legacy, a small party you can do, but let that be a priority. Insurance is super, 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 super important. Lynn said, understand life insurance is key. I'm so glad I was encouraged to purchase whole life when I was younger. That is good. And I wish that I
Amen.
knew that information. I really wish that I knew. Teach your children now. Like if y'all not talking about this, others are. African Americans need to catch up. And I'm being honest. But did you want to say something,
And
Chris?
I started at the opposite end of my career because I worked with large groups, just the big corporate umbrella, and they really didn't pay attention to the small man. And the
Mhm.
second part of my career, I started working with small groups, and even down to the individual basis, and offering that type of consultation stuff that I didn't think I assumed people would know, and they just don't because the word insurance just scares the heck out of everybody so much.
Mhm.
Um, I've even gone into now key person insurance. If you have a small business and if one of the business owners perishes, what will you do? Will your business survive? So we've offered consultation on that level too to make sure that you understand that it only takes a small amount of money to save your business, to save your ideas, your hopes and dreams that are in a partnership. You just don't want them to go away. You want to keep that going, and so we've done the consultation to make sure that people understand that as well. And that's been let's face it. Let's go. Every business starts small. Coca-Cola starts small. You know, Amazon starts small. So everybody does that. So we have to have the things in place in order to educate the business owners so they'll provide the right tools for not only themselves but their employees as well. When I do group consultation, I really get upset when you have this business owner that doesn't care about the employees because the employees are the backbone of any organization. And if you don't provide that tool, that education, those things that happen, you won't survive. I can, go into a business owner's office, within 5 minutes, they won't make it. In a lot of cases, I'm right because I've been
Right.
through that back and forth with so many businesses. It makes a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um,
Well,
and again, I just wanted to touch again on the life insurance and how it can save you in so many tax brackets and so many different tax implications that you have to talk to one of us or a financial planner to really see it. But it is very useful for you to save a little bit now for the future and for future generations.
mhm. Yep. And when open enrollment comes, prayerfully I'll be making more and I can actually up that jump. It's important just, to leave a legacy. Yeah. Leave inheritance for your children's children. That's what the Bible talks about. And so, a lot of us are just living in the moment, living for today. And I want you to know it's different when that's all you can do because that's all you can do if that's your situation right now. But please don't let that be where you stop. Once you can get insurance, if you have children, you should also want health insurance just because you want to live, until they're grown and, able, you want to take care of yourself and make sure that they're able to see and be a good role model for them. Guys, go like seriously, prostate, colon cancer is prevalent, especially in African American community. Go get checked. I didn't like it. It's really prevalent around males, but a lot of because they don't go to the doctor. Like I know I've talked to people, it can be prevented. Go to the doctor. Females, go get your mammogram. It's not fun. Like it really isn't. And the larger the breast, the more you have to do to get it, scanned. And I'm just being honest, but do what you have to do. And it's I think that the colonoscopy was like $1,600 or something. It was a crazy amount. It was like, I thank you for insurance. It might have been more because I had to go like two or three different appointments before the operation, or the procedure. So go. It saves you money. It really does in the long run. And those are just preventable things. Like sometimes you don't have co-pays for those things because they're just regular, a part of the insurance. Get your annual physical. I just made mine. They say a good way to do that is around your birthday. And I just scheduled mine day before my birthday. I want to know that I'm okay. And I don't even have anybody yet. You know what I'm saying? But I want to live and be the best that I can be. And I'm trying to make up for all the times that I couldn't. It wasn't that I didn't want to. I couldn't. I wasn't able to. So if that's your situation, my prayer is that that will change for you. If it's not your situation, Get on your P's and Q's. Do what you got to do. Do your
I'm
research.
so proud right now. I'm so proud right now. I'm so proud because all those frantic
Because
calls
you're
I
an
got.
old man.
Chris, why this cost so much? You were actually list you were actually listening to me. Oh my God, this is my girl knows deductibles and co-pays and everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Don't
it's
act like
coming
I didn't
together,
know
ladies and gentlemen.
anything,
It's
but
coming together.
I was struggling though. And Chris has had to hear a lot of this stuff. Like literally, y'all, he has definitely helped me out of a lot. Just a lot. It was so bad. I'd be like, Chris, can
No,
I
no,
just
I'm not
not pay
talking
you
about
back?
financial. I'm talking about the education part of it. You know what I'm
I was
talking.
listening to that too.
Why does it cost so much?
I always listen. People don't think I listen. I listen. I do talk a lot. Y'all are right. I do. But I had to tell somebody the other day. I was like, y'all know what? I did study this. Like I was like, for real, I am an expert in some things. I did go to school. I do have degrees. I've had a whole bunch of certifications and trainings. I'm not just talking out the side of my neck. So y'all should listen just like I listen to Chris. But anyway, I love you so much, Dunny. Like I said, that's my name for
Love you
him. Did
too.
y'all want to say anything before anything else you want to say before we get off of here? Did you want people to connect to you? Like I would shout out y'all. I'm just gonna say this. I'm not gonna say what, but you have probably been to one of his events. Like this dude is so unassuming, but he does a lot in the community. He does a lot. He's always doing something, and they're a lot of fun too. So if you want to talk about that too, real quick, you can. Which is why he knows about event insurance. But
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that, and I have you send it to everyone. So the event that I'm most proud of every year we do a breast cancer awareness event downtown DC. Bring in different artists. We try to focus on the community with bringing in different vendors. We make donations to local, what we feel is not the high end Susie D. Coleman type things. We go into the places that people really need that blanket, that car to go to the parking lot to get your treatment. We kind of focus on those types of grassroots events and make donations to them. And it's the most gratifying thing I do every year. Unfortunately, 2020 we didn't get to do it. So next year we'll be able to. This year, excuse me, we'll be able to have that, and we're setting up the particulars now, depending on space requirements and things. So we'll have those details out, and I have Lisa to shoot them out to everyone as well. As far as what I
it'll probably
do,
be on my
I'm still an
page.
insurance broker consultant, and yeah, and she'll be providing that as well. This wasn't a commercial for me at all. This is just sharing what I know, sharing with my people, and getting what I can do. You know,
Well, the people who've been watching know that I only have conversations with people I know. So everybody, I started this in September. I can't believe it's already April. Although I do have sad news. This is the last one. Unless someone calls me and wants to share their story, that's fine. We'll do them sporadically. On the first Wednesday of the month, I do still do the Stigma Breakers Collective one. And so that's going to continue. So y'all please like, share, and subscribe this video. Subscribe to my YouTube page. I know way too many people to not actually be monetized. And I'm gonna be honest. Like this, I enjoy speaking to people and having them share their information. And I've been there for a lot of people, but I don't get the same type of support back. And so I can say that that's never been the case with you, Chris. I appreciate it. You've always been supportive and encouraging when a lot of people just wanted to use the gifts and talents. And so I thank you for being my friend all those many years ago. You were so
stop it.
old, Joe.
And this and see, I was about to have a nice complimentary moment. You want to mess that up, but Lisa's probably the most talented person I know face to face. Her voice is, for those in the world know, is just second to none. I'm glad to know I have a, I mean, she's the voice of an angel, to be honest. And when that day comes when I'm 85 and I finally get married, she'll be the person singing
No, not 85. We need to, Dave, Batman, where are you? I need to call all the friends down. Like we gonna have a meeting. Can we move that up at least to 65 maybe? Like let's do
nah, maybe we'll talk.
60.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
I
All
appreciate
right.
that. I really,
All right.
really do. I just want to put this out there. Y'all follow me. This is where you can find me on social media. I'm 1SingingLady. The number YouTube is spelled out ONESING LADY. And please follow, like, share, subscribe. Go cop a CD. Have some CDs on my website. And we'll actually have some stigma breaker hats. And I think we're doing hats and mugs and t-shirts soon. So if you want to be a stigma breaker too and help break the stigma of mental health, join us. I will see you on the first Wednesday of May. And hopefully some of y'all will come to the Mental Health and Ministry Forum on May 15th. That's going to be online. So we look forward to it. Thank you. Mike said great info. Thanks. I appreciate you joining. It's good to see you, brother. We used to be coworkers. And so, yeah, it's been great having a conversation with you. One singing lady out. You hold on 1 second, Chris, okay? I will see you all soon. Have a great
Okay.
one.
Thanks, guys.